What's going on, Falcon fan? This is Barakundo coming back at you with another video. And today we're going to talk about the Atlanta Falcons, and they have fired. They try to make it sound nice when they say dismiss, but in essence, they have fired Arthur Smith, and we'll talk about where the Falcons go from here. Now, did Arthur Smith deserve to be fired? 100% yes. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about go down a quick rundown. We're going to talk about the reason why he got fired. We're going to talk about the press conference that we heard from the owner, Arthur Blank, and the CEO, Rich McKay, today. We're going to talk about the next coach, the potentials for that. I'm looking at who could be the potential next coach. Then we'll talk about the state of Atlanta Falcons, where they're at today, and some of the things that we, are going to be looking for this offseason, of course, starting with their head coaching hire and things like that. So, guys, with that being said, let's go ahead. If you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to this channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about that. Right, that's right, guys. These Atlanta Falcons. So I think when I say for majority of the fan base, a lot of people are happy today. Some people were probably happy last night because actually it happened last night. He was the first coach to get fired on Black, and it wasn't even Black Monday yet. It was still Sunday. Word on the street that they had a meeting after they got back from the game yesterday, and about a 3-hour meeting, they made the decision to go ahead and fire Arthur Smith. The question is, guys, and I don't think any of us really surprised about why Arthur Smith got fired. I think the writing was on the wall, right? It was on the wall probably 5 games ago, maybe 4 games ago. Of course, the Atlanta Falcons lost 4 of their last 5 games, so pretty sure that did not help the situation. But the truth is that the reasons why Arthur Smith got fired is they just completely underachieved this year. The excitement that myself and I can contest to every other Falcons content creator. You go around the city, the vibe around the city, the way we had actually invested into this defense. Looking at the quality players we had on offense, the belief that we thought that we was going to get out of our quarterback, just because we could not fathom that he could be worse than what Marcus Mariota had gave us last season. So everything was on the up and up. Everybody really believed, including the owner, including the fan base. Looking at the schedule that we had, it was just no reason why this Atlanta Falcons team, looking at our division, looking at NFC South in its totality, looking at the uncertainty at the Tampa Bay with the quarterback, with Baker Mayfield coming in, just signed a deal for $4 million. The Aints going out and get Derek Carr, what that was going to look like. Of course, the Carolina Panthers actually going and get Bryce Young, and got rid of his number one target. So you just look, all arrows point towards the Atlanta Falcons actually being the team to come out NFC South. And we just completely underachieved this year. And from a fan base standpoint, I think it was just completely frustrating the way we lost games. And guess what? Arthur Smith was definitely the tip of the spear in that, leading that charge on when it comes to the play on the field. And that's why, one of the reasons why he was let go. We just completely underachieved. One thing that really I think irks most of us, and if you look at, I think it irked the owner too, if you heard some things he was saying today, was the record against losing teams this season. I mean, we lost against a lot of losing teams, right? And that's why it was kind of weird. We played better against teams with winning records than we played against teams with losing records. The Atlanta Falcons lost against 2 one-win teams on the schedule. We lost against the 1-win Carolina Panthers. We lost against the 1-win Arizona Cardinals at the time. Both of those teams should have been a win. I mean, if you just look at that puts you at 9 wins right there automatically, right? We lost against Chicago Bears, who's under 500. We lost against the Washington Commanders, who's under 500. We lost games that it was just no excuse for us to win. I felt like we was better, you know, on paper at least than all those teams. A quarterback that you would say, that with that quarterback we can't win this game. I mean, you go back to the Minnesota game where Josh Dobbs had been there 4 days. We lost that game. We knocked out their quarterback there. The quarterback that they had in, right? And we put Josh Dobbs, who only been there. He didn't even know some of the players' name. And we come out and lose that game. So, I mean, it was the writing on the wall. You just looked at it, and then I like how the owner said it. We looked at this movie throughout the season. It was like a nightmare, based on what we thought we was going to be and how it actually turned out, and it really just was not successful at all, in most of it was from a coaching standpoint. That's where it really boils down to. Most of it from a coaching standpoint. I mean, if you go to the offensive side of the ball, the ability not to score enough points week in and week out, the consistency not to be able to have an identity week in and week out. 1 week we'll run for 200 yards, another week we'll throw for 300 yards. We were just so inconsistent. The inability for Arthur Smith to be able to get the ball to his playmakers. And that's what he was, brought in to be, that offensive, so-called offensive genius and things like that. So these are all the reasons why, if you break it down and you think about the reason why Arthur Smith was let go. Now, apparently, he did have his chance. When they brought him in last night to plead his case or whatever, we never know how that conversation actually went. But, when I was on here talking about, he probably had to give us concessions and things like that. And, knowing him, if we watched him for the last 3 years, his press conference, he probably had a belief to how he believed this thing can be turned around, how he think it, it can be fixed. And the owner and the CEO did not like what they heard, and they decided to go ahead and make a move from that. I thought it was really interesting listening to that press conference. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But in the end, Arthur Smith was let go because this 1 year, just this 1 year. I mean, honestly, to be honest with you guys, if you want to put the entire 3 years in perspective, I felt like he got kind of slighted a little bit, because the first 2 years you can't really blame him for because of the roster and the cap situations we had. But this 1 year, it was so bad. This 1 year, we underachieved so much that it was just time for those guys to move on. And based off what we all thought, to start this season, and because we all did, we came in, we all was positive, we all had high hopes. I don't know one Falcon fan didn't think that we had a chance to make the playoffs this year because of the defense we put in, all the information that we got from roster construction that they got from the defensive side, all the investments they put in the draft capital, all that stuff we saw. And then to have this performance, from 18-week season, it's just, he couldn't save himself. It was just a done deal, and there's really nothing else you can do about it. I mean, at the end of the day, this one season kind of killed him. It really did. Really did. I mean, everybody want to look back at the other 2 seasons, and I don't think nobody was blaming Arthur Smith for the last 2 seasons, right? Some people might not like Arthur Smith from the beginning because his smugness and the way he talked to the media, and how he thought he was smarter than everybody else. But this season is the reason he got fired. The first 2 seasons does not matter as much as this season did, because the expectations, right? The expectations was up here. They really were. They was up here. But he went so far below expectations to like way down here, to out the picture, that I think the owner was like, hell no. And then he had to be let go. It's just no other way around it. Wallace said, what's going on, Ricondo? And thinking back on it was right thing to do and release Arthur Smith, because I don't think Mr. Blank wanted to lose the fans base next season if he returned. I'm gonna get into that in just a minute when I start talking about the press conference, because I got a lot of things that he said out there that I want to touch on. But yes, I agree with you 100%. It's kind of interesting. I really gonna talk about that. But just to tie this bow on why I think Arthur Smith was let go, because like I said, honestly, to be honest with you guys, 3 years, bringing a coach in a 3-year span, and with the situation, I mean, he came in the COVID year. The salary cap had went down to $182 million, right? They pretty much had to do basement bargaining the first 2 seasons. There's no other way around it. We know we had the largest cap hit and dead cap hit in NFL history, until it's probably going to be a couple of teams might have to do that coming up soon. But the Atlanta Falcons had one of the largest dead cap hits in NFL history. That's just a fact, right? So the first 2 seasons, right? Terry Fontenot, Arthur Smith, they fixed this. They fixed this roster. They brought in their players. They did all the things they were going to do. But the crazy part about it, this season was so bad to the point where all the faith in Arthur Smith was gone after this one season, right? All the faith that he had built up the first 2 seasons, because of the roster construction, fixing the salary cap and things like that. This one season, he lost it. I mean, that's really what it boils down to, and it's crazy because 3 years, in the potential getting rid of your franchise quarterback, trying to fix the salary cap, not having your own quarterback, even though they picked Desmond Ridder, but realizing he's not the guy. It's kind of like they didn't give him the best opportunity to succeed, right? That's where it boils down to. But in the end, this season was so bad. It was so bad that they had no choice. It was over, man. He had lost the faith in the fan base and the owner, right? Not the players, because we can talk about that. I think most players, and that's one thing that you can't say. They lost a lot of coaches we had to go because he lost the he lost the locker room and things like that. Well, Arthur Smith did not lose the locker room. You heard the players talk about him yesterday. Some talk about him today. They really loved the coach. They really thought that he was a player coach. But if you say that, you're like, if we love him that much, you should have played for him and make sure he wins some games. So that's the way the cookies crumbles. Wallace says, you're right. We did not envision our team to finish 7-10 with better talent, the easiest schedule. Yeah, man, it was so bad to the point where I don't think Arthur Blank could bring him back. I haven't watched the interview yet. Yeah, you need to go watch that interview. It's a long interview, so don't get off here to watch it. Just wait to go watch it. but you're 100% correct. It was just so bad. I just talked about it, losing to all those teams with losing records. And then you got to think about it. What great quarterback did we play this year? We didn't play any great quarterbacks, right? Any quarterbacks that you was like, oh man, we got to play really great because this quarterback going to light us up. We didn't have any of those guys on our schedule. We had played a lot of backup quarterbacks. We played. It was just. It's no excuse for what happened, and that's why he got let go. I mean, that's at the end of the day, the reason Arthur Smith was not here is because this season was so bad. We can talk about the 7-10, 7-10, 7-10, but it's just this one season. I can promise you, it has nothing to do with the first two seasons. It's all about this season, and that speaks volumes to how bad this season was in the eyes of us as fans, and from the owner standpoint. All right, so let's go ahead and get into that press conference. It was a long press conference, like I mentioned. Arthur Smith, Rich McKay had a lot to say. For the first thing I want to say is everybody is so much up in arm because Terry Fontenot was not at the press conference. They explained that Terry Fontenot probably should have been at the press conference, but I don't understand why everybody making it such a big deal that he wasn't there. At the end of the day, Arthur Blank is the owner. He got Rich McKay as his CEO. They're going to put input into the team. It's just like Jerry Jones, right? Jerry Jones don't even have a general manager. So I mean, it is what it is. If you're gonna rock with the Falcons, that's the dynamic of the team, right? That's just the way it is. They said Terry Fontenot is the general manager. He's going to have input into the coaching staff. He's not going to have he's not going to be able to pick his coach like a lot of general managers do. They have never did it that way. Maybe that could be an issue. Why it hasn't never gotten done the right way or whatever people want to say. But I can say this, hindsight 2020, right? We go in and we talk about how it fared after the fact, right? But I can say this: when Dan Quinn got hired, he was one of the most attractive coaches at the time. He was. We go back to Mike Smith, right? Mike Smith, one of the most attractive coaches at the one time when he came. We had 5 winning seasons with Mike Smith, right? Went to the NFC Championship game. We know the story of Mike Smith, right? And we bring in Dan Quinn, the first 2 seasons, within the second season, we're in the Super Bowl. The next season, we go to the divisional round. And then it started to spiral down for Dan Quinn. But at the time, when they hired those guys was one of the hottest coaches, coming out at the time of the coaching search. And the same thing can be said about Arthur Smith. Right now, when we look at it, he probably wasn't a good hire. But at the time, he was one of the hottest coaches out there. And I can go back because I've been doing this for the last couple of years. I was doing it when Arthur Smith first got hired. We can go back and I can look at what people were saying about Arthur Smith when he got hired. And nobody was saying it was a bad hire at the time. Now, hindsight 2020, you can say it. You can say that. And that's almost like the Monday morning quarterback. He come out and say, we should have did this, we should have did that. That's always the case on things like that. But in the end, right, when they decided to make those hire, those go-to guys was one of the hot coaches coming out. They wasn't the only team trying to go get those coaches. Not like they picked the worst coach, during their hiring period and said it's going to be Atlanta Falcons coach. Everybody thought it was a good hire, right? Now we know, in those cases, it didn't turn out the way we wanted it, right? But in the end, it's the owner, it's the CEO. So how they set it up, how they want to do it, it's how they're going to do it, man. I don't think Terry Fontenot is going to have a say, but I think it's going to come down to the owner, who he want as the coach's franchise. That's what it's going to boil down to. That's how it boils down for most owners, right? I mean, you can say a GM go pick his coach, but at the end of the day, the owner is going to decide, that's the guy I want, right? Because you can't tell me that. You think about a guy like Eric Bieniemy, some of these coaches that comes in, the GM pick them, but at the end of the day, they get fired in 1 year. Was that the GM or was that the owner, right? So at the end, the owner always going to have the final say. So I don't know what was the uproar about Terry Fontenot not being there, just because you want to hear him say Arthur Smith, he agreed to cut. They already set the dynamic. They both report to Rich McKay separately. They're equal. That's the way they were set up. It wasn't that Arthur Smith worked for Terry Fontenot. No, they worked for Arthur Blank separately. So that's the way it was set up, and they reported to Rich McKay. So I just wanted to get that part out because it was uproar that in the way it was reported that Arthur Smith and Richard McKay was going to head up the search, and Terry Fontenot was going to put input in. That's just how it is, right? And everybody's all upset about it. It ain't going to change. Like, I get it. You can bitch, want to complain about it, but at the end of the day, it's not going to change. He's the owner, he's the CEO, and that's just guy. That's just the way cookie crumbles. They just hope they get a good coach in here. I agree with you, and I haven't known the GM pick the head coach for a team and the final say so by the owner. Yeah, like it's that's the way it's gonna be, man. Like I just don't understand the uproar about that. Why the GM can't pick his own head coach? It never happens. The owner picked the head coach. Trust me, they always do. That's why a coach come in 1 year and then they get fired. Like we just talked about this. Some coaches don't even get a chance because the owner just like, nah, I don't like what I saw. Start over, right? The GM didn't do that. GM not gonna fire the guy after 1 year because he looked bad if he picked him. So it's always on the owners, and I think we need to understand that. And if we're gonna rock with the Falcons, we got to get used to it. Just like I say, look at the Cowboys. Jerry Jones, he ran the Cowboys. He don't even have a GM. He do what he want to do. So I don't see what's different in the Atlanta Falcons. Is that a winning formula? I don't know. I know so many teams does it a different way, right? Some owners stay out the way, right? You got just go to the Patriots for an example, right? Bill Belichick does everything, right? But without Tom Brady, look at his personnel, right? Tom Brady masked a lot. Maybe Bill Belichick should have had a GM in place. Maybe the owner should have had more autonomy to not to let him do all the things he wanted to do and destroy the team because their personnel is not good. So that's just me. When basically all I'm saying is at the end of the day, what we're gonna do, right? The owner of the team, he put him as the CEO of the team. They ain't going nowhere. So we got to just live with the dynamic, the way the team set up. And if the coach and the GM don't like that setup, they don't have to, take the job. But if they decide and they agree that that's the dynamic, they're going to separately report to the CEO because that's the way the owner wants it set up. They got 50-50 split. That's the way they want it. That's the dynamic that they agreed to. I don't see what's the big deal. Did the same thing with Thomas Dimitrov. He was here for 2 different coaches. So, and maybe that's not the formula, but the point I'm making is we say that now because it didn't work in the end. So, you're right, Ricondo. The time Arthur Smith was the top candidate coming out that year, getting head coach is like a draft, a hit or miss. Exactly. Like we all shitting on the decision to bring Arthur Smith in, but at the time he was one of the hottest coaches coming out. He was one of the hottest coaches come out. He came out with the guy from the Jets, right? He was another candidate that came out that time. It wasn't a lot, but Robert Saleh, right? Robert Saleh from the Jets, Arthur Smith, those hot candidates that everybody wanted to bring in. The guy in Detroit, he got hired. We kind of laughed at that hire because the way he was talking about biting off kneecaps and things like that. You don't know how it's going to turn out. It didn't work, right? It didn't work. But we don't know how this hiring process is going to talk. And we're going to talk about the hiring process because we'll talk about the head coaching next topic here. Do you think he got fired so they can get Bill Belichick. That is a rumor that's out there. That's a rumor about Bill Belichick. We haven't heard anything about the Patriots. I haven't really been looking, but last thing I heard, they were supposed to have a meeting later on today to talk about the future. And it was reported if the Patriots decide to move on from Bill Belichick, the Atlanta Falcons was really interested in trying to bring him in. So that is a good question about Bill Belichick. All right, guys, a couple more things. So the one of the things that stood out for me most from the press conference. You haven't watched it, like I said, after we get off here, please go watch it. But one of the things that what interesting to me, what Arthur Blank mentioned, is that he was at peace with his decision, right? He said it was personal. Personally, it was hard, let a guy that he liked personally go. But in the end, he was at peace with it because this season was so bad. And I'm going to be honest with you. We got Arthur Smith fired. The fan base did. He was completely done with the fan base. The fan base was completely done with Arthur Smith. It was no coming back from it. It was over. And I think Arthur Blank, and I think he felt the same way because it was just no excuse for what we seen this season, right? Everything was in our favor. The schedule, the roster, everything. We had everything set up to just be a better team this year. And I believe that the you guys did it. You guys did it, man. You fire your hashtag fire Arthur Smith and all that stuff. It worked. It worked. I think it influenced the owner to the point, and he had to see it. He had to see it. And I think one thing that he mentioned that he was at peace, but there also one thing Rich McKay mentioned was that they felt like they didn't want to give it another year because I don't think they felt it was going to change anything. And then if they waited another year and it's the same outcome, next season, you might would have just really lost the fan base completely because we already was ready checked out, for Arthur Smith. And I believe that you guys did it. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a little clap, right? Ovation here because you guys, you achieve what a lot of times, owners don't care what fans say and things like that. And in the past, they never draft who we want to draft and things like that. But this time it worked, right? It was so bad because, like I said, it has nothing to do. Like if we can look at Arthur Smith coaching, tenure over the 3 years, right? 7-10, 7-10, 7-10. I get it, but it has nothing to do with the first 2 seasons. It had everything to do with this one season, and it was so bad that you guys, we as fans, we got Arthur Smith fired. That's just the reality of it, and it's kind of cool. You think about it. We put the pressure on, man. We were cyber bullies. We did our thing, and that's where. But honestly, I think the owner felt the same way we felt. So it's not so much to the fact that he just went completely off what the fan base said, but I think based on what the fan, because he kept saying it, he was doing it for the fan base and what was right for the Atlanta Falcons organization. That's what he kept saying, and I think the temperature. If you just looked at the temperature, not just from the fan base, you look at listen to the radio, local radio talk shows, the news outlets, everything was just negative, the publicity for Arthur Smith, and it didn't help him at all that he just kept losing. He just kept losing. So the fans, You guys did what y'all had to do. Y'all got y'all wish. Y'all, let's just hope it worked for us. That's all I'm saying. Let's just hope it works for us. So Wallace said, I don't think we're going to get Belichick because they said they don't have no timetable on the future with the Patriots. Yeah, it's a good point. I don't think it's going to be decided this week. However, going back to this press conference, Atlanta Falcon, coaching process is they say they're not in a rush, right? So we got to look at some coaching candidates definitely could be in the playoffs right now. They got to look at their schedules. They got to make sure they don't interfere with those guys coaching their current teams and things like that. Some of those candidates they probably want to look at. They do have coaches, that's not in the playoffs anymore as well. So it's some guys that they can already, contact and things like that. It's supposed to be a widespread search. So, but that's one of the things that, even a guy like Bill Belichick, that's they still, waiting. Atlanta Falcons could definitely wait on him and see if that's something they want to do. James said, then Arthur Smith say, y'all was toxic. Yep, he ain't lying. Hey, that toxicity got him out of there. Got him out of there. Hey, it worked, man. You guys putting pressure on, man. All I'm saying is, if I say anything that to piss you guys off, I'm sorry. Don't get me out of here. I want to be on you guys' side because y'all don't play, man. Y'all don't play. It worked. It worked. The pressure was on. I'm sorry, man. We needed a quarterback. We drafted a running back. I am wrong to think something wrong with the organization just saying, oh yeah. I mean, the crazy thing about, and I like the way you phrase that, it really no blueprint how to do it. It's really not, right? You can look at so many different successful organizations, because if it was a way to do it, every team would just follow that blueprint and get success. The reality is that you have to find the diamonds in the rough. And then I think Arthur Blank mentioned this. He was like, some of these guys that come out, they are diamonds, right? They diamond that need to be polished and they make shine and things like that. And then some of these guys got to get put in the right situations, all kind of stuff like that. And so it's really not a blueprint how to build a team and how to create a successful team. You can look around teams, but so many teams have done it differently. I can tell you what, and I'm going to keep saying this because if you've been watching football long enough, to have a sustained success, you got to have a franchise quarterback, especially in today's NFL. If you don't have that, you can win one. Trent Dilfer, 2000 Ravens, they went to the Super Bowl, they won the Super Bowl, so it can happen one year, but to have sustained success over time and be a winning franchise, you got to have something that's consistent, right? Like you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Mike Tomlin, they never had a losing season. They found Mike Tomlin, and look, he was a guy that was in Tampa Bay, defensive back coach working for Tony Dungy, and they got it right. Right? Nobody knew Mike Tomlin was going to be that guy, right? But then you look at the decisions he has made, as a coach. He had Big Ben, right? He hasn't had all the great players there and things like that, but the way he has structured his organization as a head coach has worked. And he has not won. A lot. He won a Super Bowl, but he hasn't won a lot there, right? But he's consistently in a tournament. And I think for a fan base, we could say that because each year you want to just have an opportunity to play for a Super Bowl, right? That's how you can judge yourself. But I mean, I looked at, and this is over the last 6 seasons, guys. The last 6 seasons, Atlanta Falcons are 7-9, 7-9, 4-12, 7-10, 7-10, 7-10. Right? That's just over the last 6 seasons. We can go back further than that, right? The season before that, we went to the divisional round. The season before that, we went to the Super Bowl. The season before that, we was 8-8, right? So we haven't had a lot of winning seasons, to say the least, in this franchise. And that's the problem. We haven't got consistency. But we don't have so many different, factors. We had 3 different coaches. Now we're thinking about it, during that time. Since 2012, we've had 3 different coaches, right? 3 different coaches since 2012. 2 winning seasons, right? That's terrible. That's terrible. So, and each coach did it different. They didn't have the same blueprint, right? We did have a franchise quarterback, but the way we built the team, we built it all on the offense, no defense, right? We did find success. 2016 went to the Super Bowl. Next season went to the divisional round with that formula with the high power offense, but no defense. But I don't think it's a blueprint to do it. And if it was, I think we would already figured it out. So I get what you're saying about the decision they make and drafting and things like that. But hopefully they make the right decision this time. Hopefully they do. James said we should have drafted Justin Fields. Yeah, hindsight 2020. We still might got a chance to get Justin Fields. Let's see what Chicago's decided to do. Recondo, you're right. The fan base got Arthur Smith fired, but Blank didn't want to lose the fans based on move. Yeah, he had no choice. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't see, and I be on what they call it X all the time, and I didn't see not one positive thing about Arthur Smith in like the last 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. Maybe I seen one guy that was, clamoring for Arthur Smith to stay. And what was his name? Mark Zeno on X. He was a guy that was saying that, the Falcons would be dumb to let Arthur Smith go. But other than him, I didn't see one person that felt like Arthur Smith should be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons moving forward. And if you out there, checking the temperature of your fan base, and because you can't even justify what you're seeing on the field to say, yeah, we're going to run it back. So you're right. The fan base definitely got him fired. Popcorn Movies Game said, should we trade with Chicago for the first pick? Yes. But this question here, with Popcorn Movies Game saying that it's really going to depend on who's our head coach. That's really what it's going to boil down to. Who's the next head coach? So we're now a little bit behind the power curve, decision making where we want to go forward, because we got to get our coaching in, and we don't know who that's going to be. So I think this right here is going to take a time to kind of figure that out. I think we trade for Herbert, give them our running backs in first round. Chargers are rebuilding too. He's not happy there. I don't know. I don't like that. This is the thing. I think, and we could talk about the press conference again. Arthur Blank mentioned, because one of the things I just mentioned, kind of go against what I just said, where you need a franchise quarterback, but there was acts, with the next coaching hire, because we don't think because the quarterback, position is so unstable with the team, with a coach, find the job attractive, right? That's a great question. That's a great question to ask, because we don't have a quarterback. I just talked about it. You don't have a quarterback. But one thing Arthur Blank mentioned, which is so true, that the new coach can bring in his own quarterback, right? That's what can happen. The new coach has the right to pick his guy that you know that he's going to ride and die with because he was like, he didn't inherit a quarterback. Yes, he got quarterbacks on the team, but we know those guys not the one. But he get an opportunity. Just say if you go, we go up and move to the number one pick and get one of these rookie quarterbacks coming out. But by the way, we're going to go see what Penix Jr. do this tonight. I'm really excited to see what Penix Jr. does against this Michigan team. If he play like he played against Texas, man, his draft stock gonna go up a lot. Gonna go up a lot. If you guys remember what Michael Vick did to Florida State. Was it Florida State? I think it was Florida State, not mistaken. When he was Virginia Tech, and the way he embarrassed those guys on national TV, the Falcons had to go up and get him because it was really impressive. So that's something that you definitely can look at and be like, let's see here. Hello, I'm a big Phil, and I'm turning into your YouTube channel. Bill Belichick, can you see him in Atlanta with the with the coach being fired? We just talked about that with Bill Belichick. I can tell you this: if we were to go get a Bill Belichick, the Atlanta Falcons will be really. I think they'll be a good team. He's just 71. He's so old, man. I don't know. I don't know if I want a guy that old to be the future. But because the way he coaches, we know one thing. Go look at the Patriots. Patriots suck this year, but that defense, man, the defense was holding team under 10 points for like 3 straight games. That defense was outstanding. That's coaching, and man, that's what he's known for, his defense. I don't like his philosophies, going to get off. I don't know who his offensive coordinator could be. Could bring in Mike McDaniel, but of course he got to go find a quarterback. So I'm kind of iffy about that, but I think we will be really good. I think it would be good for Atlanta Falcons to do that, and we'll talk about the coaches in just a minute because that's my next topic. We give Chicago number 8 pick and Kyle Pitts. Yeah, give him number 8 pick and Kyle Pitts, and then Kyle Pitts go on to be a Hall of Famer because we gave up on him because our head coach, our quarterbacks couldn't get in the ball, and making Kyle Pitts look like a bust. It's just sad, man. It really is. I hate it. I hate it. As far as our coach, I don't know. That's a great point. I don't either. John Marino said Falcons need to go get Gary Kubiak out of that's a name for a blast from the past, man. I don't think Gary would come out of retirement though. But I love that. I love that West Coast offense. Remind me of Kyle Shanahan a little bit. The tree started from Dan Reeves. Okay. Gary Kubiak. The coaching tree started from Dan Reeves, then Gary Kubiak and the Shanahan. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I like that. I like that idea. I would have to disagree with you a little bit. Bill Belichick is a proven winner, especially when he has Tom Brady. You need a coach who has rings. Remember, Phil Jackson did well. I would. Bill Belichick come in. I agree with you. We're gonna win. I just don't know how long he's gonna last. I'm talking about for longevity. I agree. I think he comes in. I think we'll win the NFC South right off the bat. I just believe that because he know what he's doing. He definitely knows what he's doing. So and that would be really great. So guys, I really highly encourage you guys after this video, of course, to go watch the press conference between Arthur Blank and Rich McKay. It's going to enlighten you a little bit of their thought process on why they decided to make the decision they made. Like I said, the biggest points I took from it is that Arthur Blank was really confident that he made the right decision. So what he's seen this year was enough for him, and I think he agreed with the fan base in that aspect. So I thought that was interesting. What was interesting what Rich McKay said, that we're trying to win now. So it's not where they're trying to like start over, whatever they want to try to win now. So that's really telling. Like I said, we mentioned Terry Fontenot gonna play a part in the hiring process. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you guys, like it always happened, the owner make the final decision on that. Even if you would say the GM picked the guy, no, the owner make the decision. If you said we still need a quarterback 100%, that's James said Billy Pitt. That's what I'm saying. He's too old, man. That's what I'm worried about. John Moreno said, also remember Denver stopped Gary Kubiak. He did. Then he retired. You're right. I remember that. That kind of pissed me off too. We ain't nothing until we got a quarterback. I agree with you 100% on that, man. We got to fix the quarterback position. But guys, please go watch that interview. Look at take from what you want from it. Your thoughts and things like that. But like I said, for me, those are just some of the things I thought and I heard from it, that this season alone, it was just so bad that he had to go, and he was doing it for the fan base, and he felt at peace with it. So it's not like he was torn. He might have been torn 3 weeks ago, but I think the way it finished, these last, losing 4 of the last 5 games, I think it was an easy decision for Arthur Blank, and he kind of agreed with all of us fans on that. So that's where it is. All right. We talked about it a little bit here. The next coach. One thing to note about our coaching, hires were, since Mr. Blank has been the owner, he has never hired an experienced head coach. He has never hired an experienced head coach. So, people mention Bill Belichick. That would be his first time going to that route. All the coach he has hired has been a new coach that has never been a head coach before. Going back to the interview, one thing that they mentioned, and one thing that Rich McKay mentioned, that they want to win now, right? Bringing in a new coach might not do that for you. Arthur Blank mentioned that, having somebody that know what it entails to be a head coach in today's NFL, because it's just so much. Yeah, you might be good on one side of the ball, but you got to make sure the other side of the ball is doing, running smooth as well. So this might be the first time that the Atlanta Falcons decide to actually go get an experienced coach, right? Now, with experienced coaches out there, I have no idea who I would want to come in that's got experience. One guy that I just like his I like his the attitude about football, and that's Rex Ryan. I don't know why. I just like the way Rex Ryan is as a head coach, the way he was with the Jets. The way he had that 2000 Raven defense humming. Of course, there had a lot of Hall of Famers on that defense, but for me, he's just somebody I like. I know he's not probably on no one's radar, but you go get a guy like Rex Ryan, and then you bring in a guy like Eric Bieniemy to be your offensive coordinator. Don't know, just throwing out. I have no idea if they're going to go the experience route, or you can get, like somebody said, a Bill Belichick, right? Go get a Bill Belichick, and he probably bring in Josh McDaniel because that's his guy, and we'll see who's going to be the quarterback and things like that. But it is some coaches out there, some new hire coaches that can definitely bring in, and these some of the names that we've been hearing around. A lot of you guys probably already got on your radar as well. Mike McDonald, the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Jim Harbaugh would be an excellent pick if we can pull him away from Michigan. And if he don't decide to go to somewhere like the Chargers because they got a quarterback, he can pick his own quarterback. Not J.J. McCarthy, though. Shane Waldron, Joe Brady. Of course, he's the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Todd Monken is another guy, offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Bobby Slovic, right? That's the offensive coordinator right now for the Houston Texans. And then another retread, Brian Flores, is another guy that the Atlanta Falcons could consider. We know, what he was able to do with Miami, had that team playing well, then he got fired, but Tua didn't develop under him, so I don't know how much that would you would want to go that route. Eric Bieniemy, I don't know if he ever is going to get a head coaching job, but those are just some of the names out there. You guys can definitely throw out more names if you want to, and throw some ideas out there. But it's going to be a wide search. Maybe the Atlanta Falcons can find the next Mike Tomlin. I don't know, right? And that'll be a brand new coach coming in, and we'll have to see what the Atlanta Falcons decide to do there. But maybe they could, bring in a Mike Tomlin. And then, like John Marino said here, Gary, a guy like Gary Kubiak, who's, if you're going to bring in Bill Belichick, you can definitely bring Kubiak in, because I'm pretty sure he's younger than Bill Belichick. James Over said, Petrino, that was a wasted hire, man. That's a wasted hire. He said Rex too old. Yeah, I don't even think he's on anybody's radar. But if you're going to bring in a guy with coaching experience, I'm just throwing names out. I have no idea who they're going to bring in, guys. I just hope it's a good hire. I really do. It's going to be tough. This is when we talk about head coaching, because where the team is, and the fact that they're saying they're trying to win, just like EQ said, we don't have a quarterback. Like, it's kind of weird to I think that the Falcons is in a weird place right now. Jeffrey Barber said Mike Tomlin. And Mike Tomlin is a pipe dream. He's not leaving Pittsburgh. He would be a great coach, though. But I don't think we'll be able to get him. I don't think Pittsburgh would. Maybe we trade for him. I don't think Pittsburgh would do that either. So, but that would be a great coach to get here, Mike Tomlin. But guys, the next coach is don't supposed to be a fast hiring search. I anticipate probably another 2 weeks before we hear who the Atlanta Falcons head coach is going to be. And then once we get that, we can kind of get an idea, the direction of this team, where they want to go based off who their coach is. And then we'll see if they're going to hire a coordinator, on the offense, defensive side of the ball. We don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what the Atlanta Falcons decide to do with their next hire. Of course, that means all the other coaches right now are currently, still on the staff, right? Some of those coaches probably already trying to get poached by other teams that like some of the things they do. So just be prepared for a whole new coaching staff, more than likely. I talked about this, a couple of times when I've been on here about the coaching staff changing and things like that. So some of the things that we liked from this coaching staff, especially from a defense standpoint, it could be something totally new next year. So we just have to see how that pans out. So we'll just wait to see who the next head coach is. I can't wait. It's going to be exciting to see it. It's going to be tough to bring in a veteran coach that has won a Super Bowl and just get the best candidate they can to use back to winning. Yeah, but what Super Bowl winning coach they can bring in? Like I said, it's not a whole bunch of them out there. Not that does not have head coaching experience. Let me just say that you got to be a head coach. I mean, they got some coaches out there that been to the Super Bowl but wasn't head coach at the time. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think, Arthur Blank was kind of offended by when somebody asked him was, hiring a coach was a crapshoot. But in a way, it kind of is because you never know, especially a guy who never been a head coach before. You just don't know how it's gonna pan out. Um, you think you have an idea, but you just don't know. So that's really going to be interesting to see what they decide to do um, with the next head coach. Guys, the last thing I want to talk about today is the state of the Atlanta Falcons, where they're at right now. How about Deion Sanders or the Lions coach Ben Johnson? Ben Johnson, I mentioned him. Deion is not leaving no time soon. We know he's not leaving this year anyway. Because but and I don't know if Deion. I think Deion is good where he at as a college coach. I don't know how he would fare as an NFL head coach anyway. So that's where I'm at. So guys, when we talk about the state of the Falcons, first of all, I'll go to the salary cap. And honestly, I thought we had more money than we actually have going into the 2024 season. We only got about 34 or 36 million dollars in salary cap. So that was less than I thought we had, but we still can be in the free agent market there with that 34 million. That's according to Over the Cap, by the way. We got 42 players currently on the roster right now. The biggest things that we definitely got to get done this offseason is to be able to sign a contract with AJ Terrell. You got to make a decision on Kyle Pitts, where you're going to pick up his fifth-year option, which I think that's a no-brainer. They're going to do that. And then you got to go get receivers, right? Because you only got one receiver on the roster, so you got to be able to go out and try to get – I think you probably want to get another good free receiver in free agency, and then you want to be able to go draft the free receiver as well. And 1A, 1B, in my opinion, besides going to get a quarterback, you got to get a pass rusher. That's got to be something that the Falcons need to make sure that they invest in this year. If going out being able to get a pass rusher, because they don't get a pass rusher, I think one thing that really irks me this whole season, even though the Atlanta Falcons sack numbers were really good, big jump. I mean, great improvement from last year to this year. But, Derek Carr had a lot of time to throw the ball, and there was a lot of quarterbacks that we played this year. They had a lot of time to sit back in the pocket and pass the ball, unless we generated some kind of pressure. And if you want to be really good, if you can get home with your front four instead of bringing that pressure, I think that would really be awesome. So that's where we at currently right now with the state of Atlanta Falcons. Salary cap, some of the needs that we might need to be looking for. We can be players in free agency. We can be players in the trade market as well. If we want to go trade for a quarterback, we'll talk about all that stuff. Once we figure out who our head coach is, I think that's the next domino to fall with the Atlanta Falcons, figure out who their head coach is, because that's going to really be important. Arthur Smith, one thing about him, we can say that he was a level of consistency, 7-10, 7-10, 7-10. For the third straight season, the Atlanta Falcons have the number 8 overall pick. So you kind of know that process. If you're Terry Fontenot, how that's going to be picking number 8 again overall. But it's a lot of things is going to be determined here, and it starts, in my opinion, with who's the next head coach going to be, because whoever that head coach is going to lay out their vision, moving forward, what they got going on with this team, right? Then that head coach needs to get with Terry Fontenot to see if he got the right personnel on the team already to execute his vision that he laid out. And so on and so forth. So those are kind of things that needs to take place before we can actually get down and start talking about free agency, draft, and things like that. We need to find out who our next head coach is going to be. All right. So that's where we're at, guys. I will come back on Wednesday to talk about, the team and the season in entirely. We'll break down, all the games. We'll break down what was good, what was bad, the improvements and things like that. We'll want to see. We'll talk about all those things on Wednesday. So definitely, guys, come back in here, join me on Wednesday. We'll talk about all the good things that we've seen from this Atlanta Falcons team. Um, and we got another comment here from Philip Byrne. The Falcons need a whole lot of personnel changes to be made. Speaking of head coach, I still believe that Bill Belichick will be the next coach. Was something that I had predicted. And if Bill Belichick be the coach, or as having somebody in that's, that has the experience you need to be, to be successful, that's a good start. So, but he's still a Patriot right now, so that's still up in the air. But guys, thank you guys for coming in. You guys did it. Once again, I'm gonna give you a clap before I get out here. You achieved your goal of getting Arthur Smith fired, but the owner felt your. I think he had the same opinion you had in the end. Is that enough is enough? It's time to go. Let's move on, and that's where we're at. So I want to say bye, Arthur Smith. Pretty sure you're gonna find yourself coaching somewhere else again. Um, that's your dream, something you didn't never have to do because you're a rich guy anyway, but you want to be you want to get in the coaching realm, and best of luck to you. I can't say it was fun because we had 3 losing seasons. So that's all I have. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.